You weigh nearly 9 tons, and right now, that might get you killed. The ground beneath your feet is wrong, too dry, too open, too loud. You stand in the middle of an African savanna that stretches for miles in every direction. Golden grass rippling under a brutal sun, pushing past 100 degrees. There's no cover big enough to hide you, no dense forests, no swampy edges to sink into, and everything sees you. A herd of wildebeest freezes in the distance. Zebras bunch tighter. Even the vultures circling high above have already marked you, not as a hunter, but as something out of place. You're a Tyrannosaurus rex, and this world does not recognize you as its apex predator. The wind shifts. Scent hits you, sharp, musky, layered. Not prey, predators. Multiple. You turn your massive head, scanning. Your vision locks onto movement, low, coordinated, fast. A pack of spotted hyenas fans out across the grass, not charging, not fleeing, testing. They don't know what you are, but they know you're alone. One steps forward, jaws parting in a laugh that isn't fear, it's curiosity. You take a step. The ground trembles, your weight is overwhelming, each footfall a small earthquake. In your world, that meant power, intimidation, control. Here, it means something else. Announcement. Every step you take tells the entire ecosystem exactly where you are. The hyenas don't run, they adjust, spreading wider. You lunge forward, jaws opening, teeth built to crush bone, and they scatter instantly, not in panic, but in precision. They've seen lions, they've learned timing, you miss, and now you're breathing harder than you should be. The heat wraps around you, pressing in. Your body wasn't built for this kind of constant exposure. No towering trees to shade you, no cool underbrush, just sun. The hyenas circle again, closer this time. They're not trying to kill you, they're trying to understand your limits. You swing your tail, forcing space. One gets too close. You snap, teeth slamming shut inches from its skull. It yelps and retreats, but not far. They're learning, and worse, so are you. You're not the fastest thing here. You're not the most efficient. And right now you're burning energy you can't afford to lose. The hyenas begin to peel away one by one, not defeated, finished with their test. They've seen enough, you're dangerous, but not worth it, not yet. Silence settles back over the grassland, but it feels different now, heavier. Because the lesson is already sinking in. You can't chase like this. You can't hide like this. And if everything sees you before you even get close, you don't eat. A distant rumble breaks the stillness. You turn again. Elephants. Dozens of them moving like a slow, unstoppable wall across the horizon. Too big, too coordinated, untouchable. Your stomach tightens anyway, because hunger doesn't care what's impossible. It only counts time. And time is already working against you. The sun climbs higher, your body heats up, and somewhere out there, something smaller, faster, and far more adapted is already deciding whether you're a threat or an opportunity. By late afternoon, the heat stops feeling like weather and starts feeling like an attack. It presses into your skull, into your chest, into the thick muscle packed along your legs. Every breath tastes like dry grass and dust. You move, but slower now, and the savanna notices. A line of impalas that had been grazing in the shade of an acacia tree spots you from half a mile away and explodes into motion before you've even angled your body toward them. Too far, too fast, gone. You keep walking. Not because it's smart, because hunger is beginning to hurt. The problem isn't strength, it's distance. Everything here survives by seeing danger early and running before the kill ever begins. In a world this open, your size doesn't make you invisible. It makes you obvious. Your old advantage has turned into a warning signal, and then the smell reaches you. Blood. Fresh. You lift your head and follow it through the tall grass, each step careful now, slower than before. The scent leads to a half-eaten zebra carcass tucked near a patch of thorn scrub. Lions. Recent. Flies already boil over the open stomach. One side of the ribcage is cracked and stripped, but there's still meat on the haunch, still organs, still marrow in the bones. Food. Real food. You close the last few yards and lower your head. A growl stops you cold. There are 4 lionesses in the scrub, hidden low, gold coats broken by shadow. One rises first, then another. Then the male stands up behind them, dark mane catching the light, shoulders rolling forward with the kind of confidence that belongs to something used to owning the ground around it. For a second, nobody moves, you dwarf them, you outweigh them by tons. One bite from you could pulp a skull, but they're not alone and they know this land better than you ever will. The male charges first, not to kill, just to slam into your blind side and force a mistake. The lionesses split wide at the same moment, aiming for confusion, pressure from angles, a test just like the hyenas, only bolder. You roar and drive forward. The sound tears across the plain. Birds burst from the scrub. The male skids sideways at the last second as your jaws snap shut where his neck was a heartbeat ago. One lioness gets too close and catches the whip of your tail hard enough to throw her through the grass in a tumbling blur. That does it. They break. Not routed. Not terrified. Just done calculating. You claim the carcass. Your teeth punch through zebra pelvis like dry wood. Bone gives with a deep crack. Fat, blood, hot meat. Finally, something your body understands. You feed fast, ripping massive chunks, swallowing more than chewing, always lifting your head between bites, because the rules here have already changed. Victory doesn't end danger, it announces it. The first hyenas arrive within minutes, then vultures, then more hyenas. You turn with blood across your jaws and roar again, but the scavengers don't retreat far. They stop outside your reach and stare with patient yellow eyes. They know what you're learning too slowly. A kill is never just food here, it's a signal flare. By sunset, your first success already feels smaller than it should. You ate, but you didn't hunt. You won the carcass, but only because something else brought it down first. And as the shadows stretch longer, another truth begins to harden inside you. In this place, being feared is useful. Being seen is expensive. Night should be relief. Instead, it becomes a different kind of exposure. The temperature drops fast, but the darkness doesn't belong to you. It belongs to everything that moves quietly, everything that doesn't need to be seen to hunt. You feel it immediately. The shift. The savanna that scattered at your approach during the day now hums with hidden movement. You hear it before you see anything. Footsteps in the grass, soft, careful, not running, watching. Your stomach isn't empty anymore, but it isn't full enough either. The zebra meat helped, but not enough to sustain something your size for long. You need more. And the longer you stay in one place, the more the ecosystem starts to circle you. You move, slower now, more deliberate. Each step placed with intention, not force. You begin to angle your body lower, a head dipping closer to the line of the grass. It feels wrong. Everything about your build pushes you upward, towering, dominant. But towering got you nothing today except attention. A rustle ahead. You freeze. Not instinct, choice. A small herd of warthogs roots through the dirt near a dry creek bed, their bodies low, unaware. They're not fast like antelope, not strong like buffalo, but they're alert in bursts, heads snapping up at the smallest wrong sound. You wait. The wind shifts again, sliding across your scales instead of into their snouts. For once it favors you. You take one step, then another, each movement measured, slower than anything your body was ever designed to do. Muscles twitch, demanding speed. You deny it. The distance closes, 50 yards, 40. One of the warthogs lifts its head, a stillness. The entire herd freezes. You don't move, not even a breath you don't have to take. Seconds stretch. Then the head drops again. You commit a sudden burst. Your full weight unleashed forward, ground shaking as you charge. This time, it's not about outrunning them. It's about starting close enough that speed doesn't matter. The herd scatters in every direction, but one hesitates, just half a second too long. Your jaws snap down. Impact. Bone shatters. The body goes limp instantly. The rest vanish into the darkness, but you don't chase. You don't need to. You stand over the kill, chest rising, heat pouring off you, even in the cool night air. This worked. Not because you were faster, because you were closer before they knew. You drag the carcass toward the shallow creek bed into what little shadow and cover exists. It's not much, but it's enough to break your outline from a distance. You eat. Fast, efficient, controlled. And for the first time, something shifts. You're not just reacting anymore. You're choosing when to be seen. But the night doesn't stay quiet for long. A low rumble vibrates through the ground. You stop feeding, listen. Another rumble answers from farther out. Lions again. Not the same group, larger this time. A pride on the move, drawn by the same thing everything else is drawn to. Opportunity. You look down at what remains of the warthog. Not enough to defend against numbers. Not worth the risk. For a moment, instinct pushes you to stand your ground, to roar, to claim it. But that instinct is already outdated. You step back. Leave the carcass, disappear into the dark before they arrive. Behind you, the sounds begin, growls, tearing, competition erupting over what you chose not to keep, and as you move away, one realization settles deeper than the hunger ever did. You don't survive here by winning every fight. You survive by deciding which ones never happen. Morning comes with no warning. Just light and heat building again. You've already moved miles before the sun clears the horizon, keeping low ground, following dry channels where the earth dips just enough to break your outline. It's not much, but it's something. The open plains are no longer your path. They're traps. You crest a shallow ridge and stop. Below you, a watering hole shrinks under the early sun, its muddy edges trampled into thick, dark churn. Life gathers here whether it wants to or not. Zebras, antelope, buffalo, birds lining the edges like sentries and predators. You spot them quickly now. 2 crocodiles barely visible beneath the surface, only their eyes breaking the waterline. A coalition of cheetahs resting far out in the grass, saving energy for speed they'll need later. And farther back, lions again. Different pride, watching. Everyone is waiting for something else to make a mistake. So are you. The old instinct tells you to charge, scatter them, take what you want. But that instinct belongs to a world that no longer exists. You stay still. Minutes pass, then more. Your body protests, muscles stiffen, heat creeps in, but you don't move. You let the scene unfold without you. A young wildebeest edges too close to the water, nervous. Alone for just a moment too long, the surface explodes. The crocodile surges upward, jaws clamping down in a violent twist. Water churns, mud sprays. The herd panics, scattering in every direction. The kill isn't clean. The wildebeest fights, thrashes, drags the crocodile halfway out of the water. Chaos. And chaos is the only moment this place ever offers. You move, not at full speed, not yet. You angle along the edge, cutting distance instead of charging through it. The crocodile is occupied, focused on drowning its prey. It doesn't see you, can't afford to. You close in, 10 yards, 5, now. Your jaws crash down, not on the wildebeest, but on the crocodile's exposed flank. Bone cracks under pressure. It was never built to withstand. The reptile thrashes, releases its grip instantly, vanishing back into the water with a violent splash. The wildebeest collapses, lungs heaving, already too damaged to recover. You take it, fast, efficient, gone before the rest of the system recalibrates. By the time the lions shift forward, you're already dragging the carcass away from the open mud, pulling it into a narrow cut in the terrain where visibility drops and approach angles narrow. This isn't dominance, this is timing. You eat in silence, senses stretched wide. Every bite earned by seconds, not strength, every second borrowed. And still, it's not enough, because the pattern is forming now. You don't hunt the strong, you don't chase the fast. You take what's already failing, what's distracted, what's alone. You've stopped being the apex predator and started becoming something else. Something that waits for the system to break and steps in before it heals. But even this has limits. The watering hole shrinks more each day. Prey grows thinner. Movements grow tighter. The competition doesn't just watch anymore, it anticipates. Lions arrive earlier, hyenas linger longer. Even the crocodiles hold closer to shore, denying easy access. Your window is closing. And for the first time, the savanna isn't just something you have to understand. It's something that's starting to understand you back. The next failure doesn't come from weakness, it comes from confidence. You return to the watering hole earlier than before, slipping into the same low channel, expecting the same pattern. Wait for chaos, move in, take advantage. It worked once. That's the problem. You watch. The herds gather again, tighter this time, nerves stretched thin. They remember yesterday. They remember the violence. Even the spacing feels different. Fewer gaps, fewer mistakes. Predators are already here too, closer. The lions don't sit back this time. They're inside the herd's outer edge, forcing movement, creating pressure before anything even happens. Hyenas hover along the flanks, restless, impatient. The crocodiles barely hide anymore, their ridged backs cutting through the surface like warnings. Everyone is adjusting. You wait anyway. Minutes stretch, heat builds, your body aches from holding still. Then it happens. A zebra bolts too early, spooked by something small, something unseen. The herd ripples in panic. Dust kicks up. For a second, the pattern fractures. You move. Same angle, same controlled pace. Close distance first. But this time, something shifts. The lions react faster. One of the males breaks from the herd and charges, not at the prey, but at you. Not reckless. Calculated. He's not trying to win, he's trying to delay. You push forward anyway, commit. Because backing off now means losing everything. You reach the edge of the chaos just as the zebra stumbles, your jaws open, and the hyenas hit first. 3 of them slam into the zebra's flank, dragging it sideways, and turning it into a spinning mass of hooves and teeth. The opportunity narrows instantly. The moment collapses faster than it formed. You lunge, too late. The zebra twists. A hoof connects hard against your lower jaw. Not enough to break bone, but enough to snap your head sideways. Enough to throw off your bite. Pain flares. You clamp down anyway, air. The zebra breaks free, limping but alive, vanishing into the herd. The hyenas scatter, taking scraps of momentum with them. The lions regroup, closing ranks again, eyes flicking toward you now, not curious, not cautious, aware. You stand there for 1 second too long, and that's when the pressure turns. The male lion charges again, closer this time, backed by 2 lionesses flanking wide, not to kill, but to push you out, to make you spend energy, to make you choose, fight or leave. You hesitate, and that hesitation costs you. They surge just enough to force movement. You step back, then another, not retreating fully, but no longer in control. The opportunity is gone. Again, the herd stabilizes. The predators settle back into position. The system closes around you like nothing ever happened. Except now something is different. You're breathing harder. Your jaw aches, and the ground you thought you understood has shifted beneath you. You pull back, slower this time, not out of strategy, but because you don't have another option. Distance builds between you and the water, between you and the food, between you and whatever advantage you thought you had. The pattern you started to rely on doesn't belong to you anymore. It belongs to the system, and the system just took it back. By the time you reach open ground again, the truth settles in, heavier than hunger. You didn't fail because you're weak. You failed because you repeated yourself. And in this place, anything predictable gets erased. You don't go back the next day, or the next. Hunger presses in harder now, sharper, more constant, but you stay away from the water. Not because it's empty, because it's too full. Too many eyes, too many patterns already built around you. You move instead, farther than before, away from the open plains, away from the herds that scatter at your silhouette. The land begins to change the deeper you push. Grass thinning into scrub, scrub breaking into scattered trees, the ground uneven, cut with shadows that actually hide something. It's not better, just different, and different might be enough. You slow your pace, not stalking yet, just observing. Smaller movements start to stand out, a rustle under brush, quick flashes of motion that don't travel in herds. You catch the scent of something solitary, not weak, just separate. You follow it carefully. The trail winds through low trees, branches scraping along your back, narrowing your movement. You hate it at first. It limits your turns, blocks your vision, traps your size in tight spaces, but it also does something the open plains never could. It hides you. Ahead, a shape moves, lean, low, deliberate, a leopard. It drags something up a tree, muscles coiling as it climbs, prey dangling from its jaws. You stop, watch. The kill is already made, the work already done. You don't rush in, you wait, minutes pass. The leopard settles onto a thick branch, guarding its meal, eyes scanning below. It knows better than to relax completely. But it doesn't know you yet. You step forward, quiet, measured, breaking the line of trees only when you're already close enough that distance no longer protects it. The leopard sees you. Too late, it hisses, pulls the carcass tighter, but the branch bends under its weight, and yours is something else entirely. You slam your body against the trunk. Once, twice, wood cracks, leaves shake violently. The leopard scrambles higher, abandoning the kill in an instant. It vanishes into the canopy, out of reach, out of the fight. You don't chase, you don't need to. The carcass drops. You take it, not fast, not chaotic, clean, controlled. And for the first time since you arrived in this world, nothing comes immediately to challenge you. No hyenas swarming in from every direction. No lions pressing in to test you. No open horizon broadcasting your position. Just trees, just shadows, just time. You eat slower. Not because you're full, because you can. And that changes everything. The realization doesn't hit all at once. It builds with every bite, every second. You're not forced to defend, not forced to chase, not forced into the open. You are trying to dominate the system. But the system isn't built to be dominated. It's built to expose anything that tries. Out here in the broken terrain, the rules shift. Visibility drops. Speed matters less. Patience matters more. You're not the biggest thing anymore. You're the thing that arrives at the right moment, from the right direction, where no one expected something your size to be. But even here, it's not safety. It's just a narrower path. Because as you finish feeding and lift your head, something else moves in the distance. Another predator. Watching, not rushing, learning, the same way you did. And the final truth settles in, quiet but unshakable. You didn't take over this world. You found a way to exist inside it, barely. And only for as long as you keep changing faster than everything watching you.